Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. In this one, I will talk about my fall 2017 semester. Hopefully, this will help some of you gain a better understanding of a similar schedule that I will present. So, for my classes, I took Physics 2, Orgo 2, Intro to Circuits, and 2 credits of Europe. This totaled to about 16 credits. And I mean, it doesn't sound too bad with 16 credits, but it was an interesting experience to say the least. Just as an overview, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most difficult, physics was 8, physics lab was 3, Orgo was 7, Orgo lab was about 5, and EECS was 7. And the entire semester was about an 8. So Chem 215. For Orgo 2, I had Professor Wolf. I came out with an A minus, and this class is just like Orgo 1 in that your entire grade is dependent on 3 exams or 3 midterms and 1 final. But unlike Orgo 1, all the 3 midterms are weighted equally, and the final is, well, just the final. In terms of difficulty, exam 1 was extremely easy, even though it should have been a little bit hard considering that they were testing you on Chem 210 knowledge as well. And for me, it was, I mean, we took it in September and I ended Orgo 1 in April, so that was like 4 or 5 months. But even then, it was pretty easy. And but then it took a 180-degree turn for exams 2 and 3. I performed well above average for 1 and 2, but struggled with exam 3, which is more special topics than it is new topics. In a sense that the special topics built off on knowledge that you obtained for exam 1 and 2. And the reason why I came out with an A minus instead of an A, I think, is really because of exam 3. But anyway, the main reason why I struggled with exam 3 was not really because it was difficult. It was just like any other exam, really. But I made a mistake of starting studying the Sunday before and not the Friday like I usually did, and that was because I had a physics quiz as well. So I and at that point, physics was the lower grade, so I wanted to focus more on that. But anyway, it didn't really work out well. The final wasn't too bad, and it was like a week after exam 3, so it wasn't that big of a turnaround. Considering you had to know majority of exams 1 and 2 already for exam 3. And so that was, I guess, a good and a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. Lectures, I would say, was about a 7. Professor Wolf speaks really, really fast, and his boards were relatively organized, but you can always just rewatch lecture recordings if you missed something he said in class. As with Orgo 1, there's no clickers and no quizzes, and I also did not go to discussion or use the book. My advice for doing well in this course would be to look at your notes. What I did was transfer my notebook notes onto blank sheets of paper, so they're more organized and I don't have to flip through the notebook 10,000 times just to look at one topic. And also do lots and lots of practice exams, and what I did was just ask around to my friends and who actually got more practice exams from their either WISE or like SLC, etc. Because Professor Wolf didn't really give us any practice exams. Also definitely do the course back. So moving on to Chem 216, I had Nolta as professor for 216, and I got an A. The only exam or quiz type of thing that's something that's not lab assignments will be the practical exam. I will get into that later. The lectures, I would say about 7 to 8. Lab modules were organized or like they were presented to us and taught at about like a 7, 10 being the best. And difficulty, they were also about 5 or 6. And there were no clickers, discussion sections, quizzes, or book used, just a lab manual, but that doesn't really count. So what I would suggest you do for the practical exam will be to review lecture notes and slides and also just do the course pack. Nolta actually gave out lecture recordings like she always did for Orgo 1, answers to course pack, so if you have her, definitely look at those. Overall, Orgo 2 lab was a lot better than Orgo 1 lab. and it was a really good experience despite it being 4 hours every time. And unlike Orgo 1, Orgo 2 group projects did not exceed 3 people, which really allows you to be more hands-on with the experiment. The labs are also divided into 2 weeks, so the first week is all individual work, and I felt like I got a lot more hands-on experience than I did in Orgo 1. And second week is usually with a partner or 2 other partners, but even then you still had to do the experiments yourself, whether it be the setup, analysis, and cleanup. And really the only group element to it is just coming up with a hypothesis and just comparing results. So this lab is really, really individual based, and for me, it's a really good thing because I like the individuality and being able to actually perfect my techniques. And in addition to the 5 labs making every grade, like I mentioned, there's also the practical exam. At least when Noto taught it before, it was 2 quizzes, so I have no idea how that worked. But for the practical exam, it had a written portion and a hands-on portion, and they were a difficulty about a 7, 10 being the hardest. And the lab themselves were again not bad at all, and you also get to learn new techniques like column chromatography and NMR preparation. So yeah, I would give this class my highest recommendation. So for Physics 2, I have Professor Hooter, or Dragon, I don't know how to say his name. This was his first time teaching 240. He taught 160, the honors version of 140, before for about a decade. So this was the first time, so naturally he wasn't the best lecturer, as he himself was getting used to it. But nonetheless, I would still say the course was a little bit above of average, and I also really appreciate the fact that they combined all 3 sections Piazzas. So Wynn and Gertie's also got to answer, and also a bunch of other students. So Piazza was definitely one of the best resources for this class. And I got an A- in this class, and this class is on a straight scale, and the course is structured so that instead of 3 evening exams, you get 6 quizzes, making up the 75% of your grade, and well, you get to drop 1 of the quizzes, so 5 out of 6 quizzes form up your 75% of your grade. The final was 25% of your grade, and so that was that. And then lectures, they were, because it was his first time, it was about a 6, and I imagined that it would be better if, in the future. You also get extra credit because literally 70%, 100% of your grade are quizzes and finals, and you get extra credit that will make up for any lost points. So extra credit, what it is flipped physics, which includes homeworks, pre-flights, and checkpoints, and also in-class clickers. So these are what they call extra credits, and they grade on a set-in-stone scale. So they literally tell us the first day of class that even if you did all the extra credits, you still need about an 80% average on all of your like quizzes and final combined. That's your final exam average, and you need that to be in about an 80% to get an A. So that is definitely something to think about. And to succeed, I would definitely recommend reviewing lecture notes and slides, and also doing practice quizzes and problem roulette, and going to SLC and basically making sure you understand thoroughly the concepts, because this class, unlike 140, tests you a lot more on concepts than how to solve problems. So that brought me some difficulty. And just a short summary, the lab was pretty easy. Just make sure you read the manual and you'll be set for an A. EX 215, I had Professor Lahiji and got a B+. It's not the ideal grade for me personally, especially as a first semester sophomore. I would imagine it to be, a lot more difficult later on. But I accept it, considering it could have been a lot worse, considering how I had to balance out my classes and other extracurriculars. And to be quite honest with you, lecture's about a 7, in terms of how well it was taught. Lahiji was not the best, because he was not really organized on his notes or like slides, and he also doesn't upload his annotations or lecture recordings, so you literally have to scribble down everything he said in class, and also be able to decipher what he was writing in the first place. And in the beginning of the semester, he allowed us to use about 5 to 10 minutes to work on examples, but later on he didn't even give it the option. So later on I just decided to skip lecture and not go at all, except for take quizzes. And I just watched Professor Finelli's lectures, and thank goodness for her, because I would not have understood it at all otherwise. And I also wasn't able to go to the office hours because my schedule just didn't allow me to be physically on campus or on North Campus during those times. So, but if you have the option, definitely go. Labs were about a difficulty of 7, in that pre and post labs took up some time, and you had to make sure you understood everything, almost everything, to be able to go through the lab and get the right data, because it's also based on accuracy, not attempt like Orgo. The class had 2 midterms and 1 final. The final was the worst average by far, so it pretty much killed everyone. But that was how it was done. So there were, for this class, there's no clickers, but there is weekly homework from the book and quizzes. We also had to read or like go through an online book resource called LearnSmart, and I'm really glad they actually incorporated that because that gave me some extra points. To succeed, I definitely recommend rewatching lectures and doing practice exams seriously, and also look over quizzes. And one thing to note that with Lahiji, the Piazza was not combined with Finelli's lecture. So, and the GSI assistant professor, people posted on Piazza, and they would take more than 2 days, or even longer, or never, to reply to questions. So that's definitely one thing I did not like about this class, especially when I did not have the option to go to office hours. So I would say that if you have the chance, definitely go to office hours, and definitely go for Fideli's lecture if you can, unless you're a really good self-studier. So for UROP, I have a project in health sciences, but it's more with engineering or CS applications. That is, I have to use Arduino, Raspberry Pi, breadboards, programming, yada yada yada. And I am doing it for 6 hours per week for both fall and winter, for just 2 credits, and 4 total if you add on fall and winter. And there's bi-weekly seminars, and so far it's been a good experience. And I would say it's pretty easy. Seminars are sometimes like kind of boring and also busy work, but again, you get a free A. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who does not have previous research experience and is also willing to go through a more regimented process and to get a free A. So you look at it however you want, however well it works for you. As a summary, this semester was by far the busiest and hardest I've ever had. It definitely won't get any easier, but I was able to come out with a good GPA and a settled major, so knowing that if I can survive this semester, I will have the confidence to tackle on more difficult semesters in the future, especially next semester. That'll be fun. But anyway, for anyone who's thinking of a similar schedule, know that definitely don't underestimate it, but also don't doubt yourself too much. Just look at it in an optimistic way, and also make sure you're just mentally prepared. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you liked it, check out my other videos and subscribe for more. Thank you.